literally a tool that you use every single week. How do you... What are you doing?
I don't know. What are you doing?
I'm waiting for you so we can do the intro nicely.
Not now. I don't want to rate this app.
Oh, you did it. Look at you.
We're there, and I go up, and I change that. Change filter. No.
Yeah. Fan funding. There we go. There's nothing there.
It's empty.
Nothing. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for joining us. And we are actually this week back to 7 streams a week. Yes. 2 weeks ago, just over 2 weeks ago, we told you we were bringing the Liam and Joe AoS show to this channel, and we're going to be doing 7 streams a week. And then for 2 weeks, we failed to do that because the Tuesday afterwards, we had Peachy here to do the saga from the Great Hall with Peachy, which I should be editing probably this weekend and maybe going up next week. And then the week afterwards, we were quite busy with other stuff and things. So we ended up going to the zoo. Do you remember? Yeah?
Yeah, zoo.
Yeah.
I fucking love the zoo.
It was a great trip to the zoo, Joe. Yeah. But we are back this week with the Liam and Joe AoS show. Last night we did have Great Hall Hobby Hangout. Tonight we've got another live game of 40k. Tomorrow we have the Warhammer show at 7:30. Thursday we've got the Liam and Joe show. We're going to talk a little bit on Thursday about Fallout, the television series on Amazon, and what that means potentially for 40k shows going forward. Thursday evening there's another live game of 40k, and then Friday we come back with Warhammer After Dark at 8:30. A full complement of shows this week. It's 7 shows, all the streaming, all the time.
Yeah, non-stop.
Still not quite the hardest working people in
Liam
Warhammer.
in your face.
Yeah.
In your eyeballs.
Still not quite the hardest working people in Warhammer, but you know,
No.
getting there.
You need
maybe.
to have 7 holidays a month.
Minimum.
Yeah.
Minimum. So thank you so much for joining us. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit all those magical YouTube buttons for us, please. Hit that like button if you enjoy the content. Smash subscribe if you haven't already. And hit that bell notification icon if you want to be notified every single time we go live or drop a new video. Or alternatively, and many people did this last night, 166 no less, you can become a member of the Great Hall. Exclamation mark member, gift, grift, any of those things, right? If you want to become a member of the Great Hall, then you can get yourself a Discord. Discord notifies you when we go live as well. That's now working again, I'm told. Or if you want to be a member but you don't want to pay for it because you don't think we're worth it yet, and you will eventually, you will think we're worth it. You could obviously hope someone gifts you exclamation mark snipe me, all one word if you're a grey name, and you can get yourself in there as well. Yeah. But thank you to everybody who's become members and recently been gifting memberships. This month has not been the greatest. It's been significantly worse than last month. Not even really been quite as good as February, but we're just about recovering. So thank you so much for all of the amazing support. You people are incredible. We love you dearly. Now, Tuesday, Joe, means AoS.
Wait, is that why everyone's leaving?
That's why all the subs are going down.
Like, we started talking about AoS. Worst month ever.
I gain 6 subs, I lose 4. I gain 6, I lose 4. That's the current game we're playing on YouTube right now. It's a fun game.
Is it because of a certain controversial thing involving things in gold armour?
I don't know. I'm not sure. If I'm honest with you, I don't know why people are leaving. I'm going to open up this chat box a little bit more because it's a bit. There we go, it's a little bit.
We're going to talk about those people first.
We will do in a minute, yeah. But I don't know. I wake up in the morning and it's like, oh, we've gained like 10 subs overnight. That's great. And then by the time I go live, I'm like, oh, we've lost another 7.
Yeah.
Odd.
Bots.
It might be. I don't know.
Too much bots, like the sex bots.
I don't think
haven't been any of them for a while, actually.
No, because all my chats are subscriber-only chats, so you don't get sex bots.
Oh.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
I miss them.
Do you?
Yeah.
So Tuesdays, if you're unaware, Tuesdays was brought in 2 weeks ago, the Liam and Joe AoS show, so we could talk about AoS. We wanted to not basically invade all of the 40k space with AoS talk all the time, but currently it's an exciting time for Age of Sigmar because AoS 4th edition is coming very, very soon, okay? Probably sometime this summer. I mean, Games Workshop are talking about it right now. It's all over Warcom. So I'd imagine at some point in the summer we're going to see AoS 4. It's pretty much dead cert. When exactly, we don't yet know. My best guess would be end of June, early July-ish, because that's similar to when 10th edition launched. I feel like they just kind of keep roughly the same time.
Yeah.
So, with that in mind, we wanted to create an extra show where we could talk about all the AoS stuff, which means Thursdays will stay free to keep talking about 40k stuff. So it's just extra content for you people. Like I said, 7 shows a week.
That's mad, isn't it?
I'm really proud of it.
Yeah.
Other ways you can support the channel, obviously by watching and looking inside and then telling all your friends and getting your pets to subscribe and using your Dead Nan's account. If you do all of those things, it's great, but you can also super chat as well. And if you do super chat, we'll get big colourful postcards come up in front of us. Joe has got his iPad.
Talking about Dead Nans,
Okay.
Did you see that news report on the weekend about that woman that took her dead uncle
Into the bank.
into the bank?
Yeah, I did.
That was
That's a strong choice, wasn't
and
it?
it was apparently it was hours. Didn't even wait.
No, He wasn't even cold.
Grifting. I like it.
And if Joe shows you, spin it around quickly. He has a little iPad that shows you all of the magical boxes. It just shows him colourful boxes, right?
Yeah. No words in it. It just keeps me busy.
Yeah.
Keeps me entertained.
Yeah.
So thank you, Adrian, for one gifted membership.
You're a hero. Thanks so much, Adrian.
Every little helps,
Like Tesco's.
Yeah. Thank you, Christopher Sanford, for 5 gifted memberships.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
5 is slightly better than 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot better than one.
You
Joe.
can rate yourselves on a scale.
Thank you, Christopher Sanford. You're amazing. What a hero.
Thank you for the super chat. Elec Man says, morning, Liam. How much reading you get last night?
None.
What are you reading?
I was supposed to finish stream, have a shower, make a cup of tea, sit in bed and read more Lumineth Realm Lords. And I did all that, drank the tea, and then just fell asleep.
What,
I was so
the
tired.
battle tome?
Yeah, the lore of the battle tome. Yeah, I didn't read anything last night. I was so tired, I just went to sleep.
Just wizards, in it?
Yeah. Kyle says they did have July 2024 on one of the War Scrolls they showed, but then changed the article later to remove it. Okay, I mean, our guess was pretty good then, Joe.
I like it. And then, thank you, Adam Fox. He says, yes, the only reason I watch this channel, the hairy pie man, you two can decide who that is between you.
Well, I mean, yesterday...
I look like I eat a lot of pie.
I didn't want to shout about it too much, Joe, but yesterday I went for a little jog.
Yeah.
And this morning I went to the gym.
Yeah?
So I feel like it's probably you.
I walked the dog this morning.
Did you?
Yeah.
On a treadmill?
No, I took it out.
Around the garden?
No, I take it to called an area near my house. The flubber called the Humps because it's like that.
Lovely lady humps.
Yeah,
Yeah?
check them out.
Yeah.
And it's one of those areas where you can tell it's getting really warm now because no one picks up after their dogs anymore.
Why?
It does my head in. All winter, lovely. You get a bit of sun. Everyone's like, "No, walk my dog now." I've not walked it for the last 4 months.
Yeah.
Does my nut in.
I honestly, that's one of my. We won't go into this right now, but it's one of my biggest bugbears in the world is people that don't pick up after their animal. If you don't want to pick up after the dog, don't have a dog.
The only time I'm willing to get dog poo on my hands is when I fling it at someone for not picking up after their dog.
Do you know what's slightly worse, I think, than people that don't pick up? Slightly worse than people that don't pick up? Those that pick up and then just tie the bag to a tree branch. Have you seen that? Do you have that in your area? Do you not get that?
No, what we do in my area is when you go for a walk, you tie it, you leave it on the ground. Because normally everywhere we go, it's a circle, essentially. So you end up going out, coming back, and then you pick up the poo.
Yeah, but you pick it up.
Yeah.
You don't just leave it hanging on a branch somewhere.
Yeah.
Like someone else can deal with that.
Like a bird feeder.
Yeah. Annoys me. Anyway, Crumpets Panda, thank you so much for 5 gifted, man. What a legend. We're up to 11. 11. The finest gifteds already. You beautiful people. Thank you so much. You're amazing. Today, we're going to talk about an article that came out on Friday. We haven't done an AoS stream fully since then. Well, we did a bit of an AoS stream last night where I started building your favourite model. That side, we haven't done one
Half
since.
the model's all right.
The whole thing's beautiful, Joe. Shut up.
What did they announce on the Sunday preview?
I don't know.
Last night.
I'm not sure. I don't look.
I thought that was AoS as well.
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
However, we now have the psychic phase. So this is something that I'm aware that we've talked loads about how 40k and AoS are separate rules teams who do separate things. But with some of the language they were using with the launch of AoS, I was mildly concerned that some of it was becoming a little bit aligned with the other.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? They're bringing some of it into line. And the big thing for me, fantasy battles and stuff like that, one of the big things that makes fantasy is things like magic. Because if there was no magic, it's just historicals.
Yeah,
arguably,
much,
right? There's no beasts and creatures and magic. If there's no giant human rats and magic, you might as well be playing Viking era or something like that, right? Yeah. So magic for me is a big thing that makes it fundamentally fantasy. And I was a little bit concerned because 40k, the losing of the psychic phase, do you know what? For simplicity's sake and for accessibility's sake, I get it. But I feel like it's lost a lot of flavour by losing the psychic phase.
Like, what's mad about losing the psychic phase, you've essentially taken away all the flavour from a lot of the armies in the game.
Agree.
Thousand Suns. An army whose sole purpose in life is to do psychic abilities, and they're all limited to one. one psychic power they can do. No way, that's not exciting. Or it's a shooting attack. And then it's like, for the last, 7 editions of the game, Shadow in the Warp for Tyranids makes it harder for psychers to do the psychic things. Because it's literally attacking their brain and they get a really bad headache. Literally has no effect on psychers anymore.
Yeah.
And it's literally the most worst army thing. It's like, and then Elder, their whole thing has been psychic powers in the past.
Yep.
But now you're locked to one psychic ability per.
And sometimes you could monumentally change the dynamic of your army by just changing out the psychic powers you were using as well. That was quite interesting. And it also led to a lot of customization and choice. Here's your psychic lore of 6 psychic powers. You can pick whichever one you want. I get why they got rid of the psychic phase, but I don't like it. I feel like it did lose some flavour. I feel like it did lose some sort of narrative out of the game. And I also felt like it meant some of what I was building was less personal and I don't know. I'm not a fan of it. I was kind of worried they do the same for AoS. They did lots of language about simplifying and making it easy to understand and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, I'm mildly concerned for magic. I want the magic phase to still be the magic phase. I want to still be casting. And it's a little bit different to where it was in old fantasy, but I still wanted to be casting. I wanted to be denying. I wanted all that kind of stuff to exist. Thankfully, it looks like it exists. And we're going to go into it. Did you want to talk about these 2 super chats first?
Very quickly. So thank you, Crumbers Panda. So what is Joe's actual favourite AoS model? And what is Liam's? Also loves the Lictor shirt.
The Lictor shirts, by the way, www.liamdempsey.store, right? Yeah. Will get you to the merchandise store with a brand new Lictor t-shirts, which I think is peak. I think we've peaked.
I think there's no other t-shirt we can release now that will be anywhere as good.
No, we can make other good ones, but I don't think they'll be as good. No. We've peaked. Our YouTube careers, Joe and I's YouTube careers have now peaked with that t-shirt. We've marked it at 30 quid because it's printed and because it's print on demand, we don't actually make a lot of money off them. But I think they're going to be glorious. Yeah. I'm super excited for those t-shirts.
What's my favourite model? It would be, I think it have to be tied between, Glum Horseman from Cities of Sigmar. That model is just beautiful.
The Marshal on horse?
Yeah, the
Free Guild Cavalier Marshal.
Yeah, Free Guild Cavalier Marshal is...
I got you back, Joe.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Or Laukavai for the Soulblight Gravelords.
Laukavai is the big vampire lady?
Yeah, the vampire
She's cool as shit. Yeah. Mine, however, is nothing quite those fancy.
No?
Spirit of Altharion.
The hollow suit man.
If you guys have never seen that model, it's a Lumineth character. And in terms of the overall, if you saw the model on the table, it looks cool, right? If you saw it next to Lukavai, or you saw it next to Teclis, or any of those kinds of L'Ariel, you'd be like, it's all right, but it's not as impressive as the big ones, right? But if you actually get up close to that model, and you realise that they've made a ghost in suit of armour, and there is where the ghost is, there is nothing. Yeah. It is incredibly well built. The modelling team went, let's do something nuts, and achieved it.
We talked about this yesterday, actually, because we talked about, I said one of the best models that they've ever, the technically best sculpted model they've done is the wizard lady that's got the veil over her face.
Oh, beautiful. Again, I built that the other day.
The thing about AoS is there's so many incredible models.
There is, 100%.
Right.
I built a stone mage the other day on the floating rock. That in itself is genius. The way they get things to do what they're doing, rather than just being on 2 feet on the ground, is unreal.
A lot of I like the whole vampire range. The new...
What's the big fat Chumbawamba that came for the vampire range recently? Not Lukavai, the other guy that you painted. Big fella.
Oh, Radagar the Beast.
He's a quality model as well.
Incredible model. Yeah. Things are you think the big fat guy from Head Knights of Slanesh on his little howdah that's being carried along by the things. We've got a lot of comparisons, him and I. I feel like I'm well represented in the hobby now.
Don't start that conversation, Joe. It's just been a dumpster fire the last 2 weeks.
It's just a beautiful model. Yeah. Actually, also, right, I don't know if I've talked about it here. What I love about Cities of Sigmar, I've said it to you, I've said it to other people, the most incredible thing about Cities of Sigmar is that not everyone is the same shape and build. You look at guardsmen and stuff; they're all like the same height, the same width, the same everything.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas Sigma, the sculpts are you've got tall people, short people, thin people, fat people.
Yeah.
You've got male, like female, like all the stuff. It's just so many different shapes and sizes, all in just one unit.
Literally looks like a human army.
Yeah, it literally looks like an army made up of different shaped people.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, great.
But I think the spirit of Altharin has to be mine,
Yeah.
just simply for the technical genius
Yeah.
of that model. And when I put it together and actually realised that there was no person inside the suit of armour, phenomenally genius.
I'm really looking forward to the new Chaos Lady on the dragon. It's not out yet. They announced it. Something spear of something.
Okay.
She's on the lizard dragon.
On the lizard
She's going to
dragon.
come in the box set with the Vanguard.
Cool. There you go. There's your answer.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Grubbit Panda for the 5. My legend.
Thank you.
Get yourself a Lictor t-shirt.
Yes. Thank you, Meat Squadron. I love that name. I'm having an issue gifting. I think it's my phone, but I got a tip for killing bees this morning, so there's half of it.
Oh, bless you. Don't give away all your tip for killing bees.
Yeah.
We're amazing, but you don't have to do that. Thank you so much.
Do you kill them? You don't set them free into another beeless area.
Mr. the Meat Squadron can't gift chat. There's 178 people in there in chat right now, which means 177 of you can cover him off. One membership each, and you'll cover off Meat Squadron's gifted 170 that he was definitely going to do. All right, we're a team here. We're all working together. Go for it.
Abraxia.
Yeah.
Kirioth likes my pick for
Does he? I'm
Laukavai.
sure he does. Yeah. Oh, hey, John. How's it going?
No. The one weird thing, right, is the Laukavai model, which is beautiful,
Yeah.
makes no sense as a functioning creature / beast.
You don't need to. That's the beauty of
I was
it.
talking to some other guys over there. I was like, the Laukavai model doesn't work in any other pose. It would look terrible in any other pose.
Which means they've done a good job.
Because her from the waist up, she's a lady vampire. She's got arms, got a head, right? But waist down, after her waist is where she's got claws, then the wingy bits, right? So she's got wings, and there's like a human bit just flopping around. She basically embodies everything I love about the Resident Evil series, but the monsters make no sense in how they
Sometimes my human bit just flops around.
work. Yeah. In public, bad.
Especially if it's a warm day.
Yeah.
Not so much if it's a cold day. Yeah. There you go. Anyway, thanks for the tip.
Yeah,
You're a legend.
thank you.
Just a tip.
Thank you to Liam's desperate blinking eyes. I love that. Is that a John account?
I don't think so.
Says I certainly peaked when I saw the Lictor tee. Had to change my trousers. I don't blame you. It's
The
great.
Lictor tee is beautiful. Big shout out, by the way, to John Scrivens, or Scrivo as he is on social media. I don't know if he's in chat. Sometimes he is. He's done a load of the artwork for the channel in the past as well. If we've ever done any kind of cartoon imagery or whatever, that's been John that's drawn it. I love his artwork. I think he does incredible artwork. And I went to him, I was like, I want to start making some cool t-shirts because I think it'd be fun to make some cool, jokey t-shirts. And he got so excited. And his response was, I fucking love making t-shirts, let's do it. I gave him the first idea. He went, I'm into this. So we made it, obviously, a thing.
Yeah.
I'll go as far as to say, chat. I did say to GW, I want to check with you that this is okay. And when I saw the mock-up, I was like, I'm no longer checking. We're just going to get them made because they're beautiful.
Yeah.
So big shout out, John Scrivo, who did that
Yeah.
choice.
We'll sell as many as we can, as quickly as we can. Then
Yeah.
they get discontinued, and then they're rare.
I am mildly concerned we may receive a letter telling us to stop selling them. If you want one, fucking buy one. Anywho, back to the article. Thank you for the super chats, you people. You're amazing people. Back to the article. Let's talk about cast supreme sorceries and chant powerful prayers in new AoS.
Yeah.
Gods and their aspects stride the battlefields in Warhammer Age of Sigmar, fighting alongside the very mortals who worship them, while sorcerers tap into the words thaumaturgical energy
Thaumaturgy.
that permeates every realm to conjure magical manifestations that can run wild on the battlefield. Along with the changes to commands and combat, the way that spells and prayers work in Age of Sigmar has undergone some significant tinkering, leading to more flexibility and opportunities for counterplay, casting and unbinding magic. From gibbering weird knob shamans caught in the violent grasp of the War to the luminous archmage Teclis, greatest model in existence, mortals and gods alike can call on the very stuff of the realms to cast powerful spells. Look at that model, Joe.
Right. The Sphinx is an incredible model.
It has a name.
The ring piece.
Okay, come on.
the Sphincter,
Selenor, carry on.
Selenor. It's amazing. And then you've got him just floating next to it.
So
He's not even riding on it.
So, no, he's not. He's literally in the air. He's hovering in the air, Joe.
What I feel like is, right, they went to print the model with him posed coolly on it, and then no one paid attention when it just auto-reset his CAD design. He just violently T-posed next to
Honestly,
it.
having built him last night and just him, he's a gorgeous model. Gorgeous.
Also, why is his trousers full of water?
He's so uncultured. Each spellcaster in the game is identified by the keyword wizard, which is followed by their power level, a number in brackets that determines the number of spell, unbind, and banish abilities they can use per phase. So a hero with the keyword wizard 2 could fire off a single spell and still attempt to banish an endless spell or invocation. This is power level, right? That's what that number's called. That number's called their power level, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so weird knob shaman, right? Don't worry about too much about this stuff. Guess what? His psychic power is not just a ranged attack. He has brutal power as a passive. Blah blah blah. Add 1 to this unit's power level while there are any friendly Iron Jaws units that have 10 or more models wholly within 12 inches of it. So it's like Power of the War. Yeah. So he's a hero wizard 1. His power level was 1. If you have an Iron Jaws unit with 10 models next to him, he goes to wizard 2. Right?
Add 1 to his power level while there are any. Oh, I said not for every 10.
No, so you can go up to 2. Jesus fucking Christ, Jake.
That was mad.
Spell laws have changed in the new edition and are selected as part of constructing your army. Love this, by the way. So I have pre-read this. I don't know if you have, but I've pre-read this.
I have not.
Pick a single spell law and every sorcerer in your army. This is taking simple and making it simple without removing all the flavour. This is good job AoS team yet again, right? Spell laws have changed.
Simple, not simplified.
Exactly. Pick a single spell law and every sorcerer in your army can attempt to cast any of the spells from that law. This means you no longer need to keep track of which specific Weird Knob Shaman knows Mighty Headbutt. You can attempt to cast that spell with any of them.
Imagine being a 10, 15,000 year old Eldar warlock and for your entire life only knowing one spell.
You'd be a pretty shit warlock, wouldn't you?
You'd be really terrible.
Yeah.
Imagine, right, you're Eldrad Uthwan, right, and you've been alive like
forever.
Forever.
In fact, you've been killed and come back to life.
Yeah. Right.
But no retcons.
But you only bothered to learn one power.
Only one. You only know Doom.
Yeah.
You don't know Guide. That lunatic farcier on a bike over there, he knows Guide. You don't.
Yeah. You're a librarian. Oh, good. I make it hard. I put like a little green haze in front of us. And we're harder to hit. Okay, can you stop other psychic powers, like people from doing their things? No.
So, Mighty Headbutt. Declare. Pick a friendly Iron Jaws wizard to cast this spell. Pick a visible enemy unit within 18 inches of them to be the target. Then make the casting roll of 2d6. We can assume that number up there is the roll required.
Yeah.
Effect. So you do this in the declare step. Effect. Inflict d3 mortal damage on the target. If the target is a wizard, inflict 3 mortal damage on the target instead. It's kind of like Smite, but it's better against people whose minds are already tapped into the magic word.
Yeah.
Well, right? No more than one friendly wizard can cast the same spell each turn unless that spell has the new unlimited keyword. And even unlimited spells can't be repeatedly cast by the same wizard in the same turn. Casting rolls are still 2d6, and if a casting roll includes a double 1, then the spell is a miscast. The caster takes d3 mortal damage and can cast no more spells in that phase. Power of the Warp, essentially.
I like it. I think that's good.
Do you know one of my favourite things, Jay? Their keyword systems, they're just what they are.
Yeah.
It's just what they are.
Yeah.
Nothing complicated, just what they are, right? Unbind, reaction. Opponent declared a spell ability. So we've gone through the sequencing previously on a different stream. So here we have the declare step, right? You declare, I'm going to do this. I'm going to cast a spell on that unit, and here's my casting roll of 2d6.
Yeah.
Before the effects take place, we have a chance to do the react ability, right, which is unbind. Used by a friendly wizard within 30 inches of the enemy wizard casting the spell.
Yeah.
The effect, make an unbinding roll of 2d6. If the roll exceeds the casting roll for the spell, then the spell is unbound and its effects is not resolved. This reaction cannot be used more than once per casting roll. what I like about this as well is, if so far it seems, if you cast on a double 6, you can't unbind it. You have to be greater than.
Yeah.
So unless you get benefits to your unbinding, but this is an unbinding, not a casting, we'll have to see if any of that comes up, if you get benefits from unbinding, but that's pretty simple, that's a reaction.
But even that, even if you could get like +1, +2 to your casting, like, you're still banking and rolling box cards.
Yeah, absolutely. But unbind, it's Deny the Witch. For us 40k people,
I like it,
we've got cast spells, we've got Deny the Witch, right? Unbinding is an important part of spellcasting counterplay, and with magical intervention letting canny casters crack off spells in their opponent's hero phase, the unbind reaction ability is vital. As an exception to the usual restrictions on abilities, a wizard could attempt to use the unbind reaction multiple times per phase based on their power level, but only once per casting roll. Cool.
I like it.
So if you have 3 wizards who can all cast 2 spells, you can cast 6 spells. If I've got 3 wizards who can all have a power level of 2, I can also unbind 6 spells.
Yeah.
Which is quite cool, right? Chanting prayers. Okay. The gods have cast their divine light on the prayers in the new edition, which are now more powerful than ever and very different from spells in some key ways. As with your spellcasters and sorcerers, your priests are marked out by a keyword with an associated power level and may use a combination of prayer and banish abilities each phase up to that number. We have a slaughter priest, who's the man from Khorne, okay, and he has hero priest power level 1. Right? What else has he got in here? Passive. This unit can use the unbind abilities as if he had the wizard 1. That's cool.
That's good. Yeah.
Because it's very Khorne. Pick a friendly unit that Khorne are anti-psychic. Not that I would know in my world is. Pick a friendly unit that is within unit's combat range to target one. Gain a blood tithe. All blood tithe points.
The blood tithe!
I took that out of 40k. I had no interest in Khorne. Now I'm interested.
Are you interested in Khorne now, are you?
I like blood tithe, but we'll have to see how it's implemented. Like spellcasters, you'll pick one specific prayer law when building your army, but there are similarities. That's where the similarities end. Instead of making a single dramatic casting roll, these combative clergy beseech their deities, who may even be on the battlefield with them at the same time, through chanting. Every prayer will ask you to roll a d6 chanting roll. On a 2+, your priest gains that many ritual points, which accumulate over multiple turns. Each prayer has a chanting value that you'll need to match before it will be answered, and many include a higher value that can power up the resulting miracle even further. For example, a slaughter priest can choose to unleash the Witchbane curse to weaken an enemy wizard once they've gathered 4+ ritual points, or hold out for a chanting value of 8+, very Khorne, to also deal 3 mortal damage to the target. So here we go, right? Here's a spell, not a spell, a chant, Witchbane curse.
So that one's a casting, not a casting, a chanting value of 4.
Yeah.
So if you roll a 3 on your 2+, you have to then chant again in your opponent your next turn. Okay.
So you have 3 chanting points.
Yeah.
But you can't do it.
It just sits there, just like...
He just sits there chanting, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So declare, pick a friendly Blades of Khorne priest to chant this prayer, pick a visible enemy wizard within 18 inches, and I like the fact that a lot of this is 18 inches as well, that's quite nice. To be the target, then make a chanting roll of d6. Effect, subtract 1 from the target's power level to a minimum of 0. You pick an enemy wizard 1, you can make them not cast any spells.
Oh, wow.
Right? Until the end of your next turn. In addition, if the chanting roll was 8+, inflict 3 mortal damage on the target. It's good, isn't it? Building up. Go on.
In terms of that word, Dix, is until the end of your next turn.
Yeah.
So in a game that has double turns, that's quite strong. Say for instance, you go, and you cast that.
Yeah.
And then you go. And then
I win the roll off and make you go again.
Make me go again.
That's still in play.
Yeah. Or if I choose to go again, I'm like, cool, I'm still stuck with terrible powers.
Yeah, well, potentially no powers.
No,
There's a wizard 1, right? Building up your rituals comes with a risk, and the gods in the Age of Sigmar can be extremely petty. So a chanting roll of 1 will lose your priest D3 ritual points. Note that prayers can't be unbound, so astute commanders will have to target enemy prophets while they're busy amassing ritual points for swift execution. So if you're stood there chanting, I've got a wizard 1, right? And you've got a slaughter priest.
Yeah.
And I know what's going to happen. And you roll your chanting roll and you get a 3, like you said.
Yeah.
You haven't got it off. So you don't make my enemy wizard 0. I'm like, well, what's going to happen next turn? Unless he rolls a 1 where he loses D3 chanting points, on a 2+, he will have enough to get that prayer off. The only way I can stop it, I kill him.
Yeah.
I need to kill him. Manifestation Law. I love endless spells.
A big snake.
A slippery snake. Endless spells and invocations are still in the mix, but instead of spending points to add endless spells when constructing an army, you can pick a Manifestation Law. This grants access to a selection of endless spells and invocations that you'll be able to summon in battle. Some factions will have their own manifestations, while the current endless spells from Malign, Sorcery and Forbidden Power are divided into thematic laws. You'll find the infamous and ghastly Purple Sun in the Morbid Conjuration Manifestation Law, for instance, alongside Suffocating Gravetide, Malevolent Maelstrom, and the Soul Snare Shackles. Wizards and priests both can attempt to use the Banish Manifestation ability to expunge these autonomous arcane forms, but there are more ways to interact with these conjurations, which we'll cover in more detail next week. So your hero phase, Banish Manifestation, declare, pick a friendly wizard or priest to use his ability, pick a manifestation within 30 inches of them to be the target, then make a banishment roll of 2d6. If the banishment roll equals or exceeds the banishment value listed on the manifestation's war scroll, it is banished and removed from play. You cannot pick the same manifestation as the target of this ability more than once per turn. So if you try and banish it with a wizard and you fail, you can't do it again, which is good. Rather than going, I've got 10 wizards, I'm probably going to get rid of it, right? Which is cool. I like the fact that priests can do it as well, but I also like the fact that this becomes one of the things you can do. So if you have power level 1 and you choose to banish, you then can't cast a spell or do a chant.
I like it,
right? We'll be revealing another new miniature on Monday and learning more about battle plans, the General's Handbook, and the battle tactics of the new edition, which we'll look into in just a moment, because that is here. But for now, let's talk about what we've just read. Magic is still magic, Jay.
Yeah. I like it as well, because I like the idea of priest, because it's like a fantasy background, that you've got a priest at the back of the table who's like chanting away, he's got like a drum, or he's like singing, do a little dance, you know? Like building up the power instead of just doing abilities cold, you know?
Yeah, what I also like the concept of is if you roll so for that particular prayer, because that's the one we've got to go off, right? You roll a 4+, I can do it. I can do it.
Yeah.
But if I hold on to those 4 points and put them to one side,
and
I roll again next turn, and maybe I'll get the double turn. And this is where they've already told us, right, that if you take the double turn, if you choose to take the double turn, you don't get to pick a battle tactic.
Yeah.
We know that that's the downside to choosing to take the double turn. That being said, there are so many little positives here and there, where it's like, how many? What's the differential in victory points?
Yeah.
How many do I have? How many does he have? Am I well behind? In which case, I desperately need the battle tactic. Am I a little bit ahead? So I could probably afford to drop a battle tactic for a round, take the double turn, chant again, maybe get to 8, do 3 mortal damage, and maybe that wizard's got 2 wounds left, and then he dies.
Yeah.
Like, there's lots of little play there, which is still incredibly random because it's relying on dice rolling.
Yeah.
But if it goes off, could be really powerful.
It is quite narrative as well, in a sense of like rolling a 1. It's like, oh, the Chaos Gods have turned on you, and now you're gonna lose points. Kind of, you've got to start again, or you've said the wrong word, or you've missed a step in your fancy rain dance.
The only criticism I have, if I was to have any criticisms, is if you miscast on a psychic power on a spell. Sorry, not a psychic power. You take D3 mortal damage.
Yeah.
Right, and you actually physically wound the wizard, and then he can't cast any more spells.
Yeah.
If you mischant on your priest, you lose D3 chant points, but you don't take any damage.
Yeah, but I suppose with Psykers, they're literally channeling into the warp where demons live.
Yeah.
So if that goes wrong, it's not a great situation for everyone. Whereas if you're just like saying some words and you stop, then it just stops.
If you're saying some words and you stop.
Yeah. You know, it's not.
But you're chanting you're chanting to a god. You're chanting to a deity.
Yeah. So
you're summoning.
But they don't have to listen, do they?
No, granted.
So
Punk says, I've never liked the idea of a full double turn. The amount of downtime for one player is just bad. I don't think that's going to be a problem in this new edition. Yeah. The amount of reaction stuff that seems to be in the game.
Right, double turn's been in it from the first edition, and the game's still going. They've not changed. If it was bad, and people hated it to the point where not enough people were playing the game anymore, Games Workshop would change it.
Yeah, I feel like most seasoned AoS players that I've spoken to have actively said they want to keep it in the game because it makes AoS. So it's one of the fundamental things that makes it so very different.
And you got to think, right? 40k now is in a position, like gameplay wise, where the game is horrendously predictable. So the Oxford GT this weekend just gone. I went through like the top 10 armies, right? And you look at the armies and you're like, wow, it doesn't look like an army. In my eyes, it doesn't look like much of an army. There is a model there and it fills the points allocation. But you go through the units, you're like, that unit's there to do that secondary, that unit there to do that secondary, that unit's there to cancel out that secondary. This one here, that its role is this. And then each turn plays as it is and it just goes in a certain way. And you go, I know that when I pull that secondary, this unit goes and does its thing. You don't even have to interact with your opponent, you know? And it's very stagnant and a stale game, really.
Yeah.
Whereas Age of Sigmar, because the double turn exists, it creates like a massive random element that you have to prepare for and be ready for. But like, you're still going to bring an army to do stuff, like with how the battle tactics work. It's just a case of go kill a unit, go be on part of a table, be in your opponent's deployment zone, hold an objective that your opponent held, kind of thing. Like, they're simple, which means that you can just kind of concentrate on just playing with a cool, fun army.
Yeah.
And those battle tactics happen. And then when the double turn happens, you're like, oh, I've not prepared for this. This is going to really hurt me. Or you're like, I have prepared for this, and it's not going to affect me much because I know I positioned my things in a way that it won't hurt me that badly. Like, I don't think the double turn is as terrifying. There are times where, say for instance, like I've had it at turn 4, you're already losing and your opponent double turns on you and they just push it a bit harder.
Double turn is one of those things that approaching AoS was one of those things I was like, I don't like it, I hate it, I think it's terrible.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that is, I don't like change, it's different to 40k. But the more I spoke to people in the AoS community, the more I spoke to people that are friends of ours who play AoS a lot, and we've had a few practice games and stuff here now, and Joe and I have played a little bit off of camera. I actually love the double turn mechanic, and I think what they've told us, that I think that there is the potential in current 3rd edition Age of Sigmar for some feels bad with double turning.
Yeah.
I feel like the new one, they've addressed that a little bit with what they've said. We'll have to see how it plays out because it might still be some feel bad moments, but the fact that if you choose to take it, rather than force your opponent to take it, if you choose to take it, you can't score secondary points essentially, battle tactics. I feel like is that nice risk-reward factor.
Yeah, it's. I think Age of Sigmar is one of those. It's going to be one of those games where it's easy to learn, difficult to master.
Yeah, right? I agree.
Because if you get double turned on, you're like, I have not set myself up to protect myself. Like, I've left him out on a limb. That unit's over there. Like, if the dice don't go my way, this is just game over. So I think, but you probably still had a fun game, right? But you go, or next game, I just won't do that. I'll think ahead. I'll go, okay, so if my opponent does get a double turn, how am I positioned? Where are my models? What are they doing?
Yeah.
Right? Whereas in 40k, you're like, well, my army's on the table. I pulled a card. Just do that.
Do you know what? You've hit the nail on the head already. One of my issues with 40k and the way it's developed over the course of the last 2 to 3 editions is, and I caveat chat again, I can't seem to get this through to people. So if you're one of those people that's struggling to understand this, just listen for a brief fucking moment for a change, right? I cannot stress this enough. I'm having loads of fun with 40k, and I am enjoying myself on the whole, right? And when I say to people, I have this edition, I don't like this, and it's not my favourite edition, I'm not saying the game is bad. I'm saying it's not my favourite edition. I'm giving reasons for that. I am, in fact, enjoying myself. However, you hit the nail on the head a little bit there, which one of the things I think has become a big problem for me, and that is it is incredibly predictable throughout the course of the game, quite often, especially at a competitive level. So it seems to typically be less predictable when we're playing on the channel because we don't necessarily take the most optimized units, we don't take the most optimized lists, and we make decisions that probably aren't the right decisions to do fun things.
Well, I think the thing is, how you build your army is so important in current level 40k at the moment. Like, if you don't put small 5-man units of deep striking infantry in your army, there's secondaries that you literally can't do. If you like if you haven't got a unit that moves over 12 inches and probably can fly, the secondaries you can't do.
Yeah.
Um,
And the way some of the secondaries are even set up is like, how is it that you'll allow me to try and do capture enemy outposts on turn 1, but I can't do secure no man's land? Why does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Anyway, the predictability, I think you're 100% right there, Joe. I think that 40k, at a competitive level at least, with certain builds and armies, you go, well, we know how this is playing out. And you plan, I've got a turn, you've got a turn, I've got a turn, you've got a turn. I like the fact that AoS is trying to still keep a tabletop game based around D6 quite random, with random elements in it. And I think you're quite right. Difficult to master is where you also want to be with any kind of game. So I think it's quite positive. Glade Lord Perez, by the way, thank you so much for the gifted membership. I'm going to shout that one out right now. That puts us up to Joe. Fucking hell. An hour in nearly, not quite, nearly. 12 gifted memberships.
It's a good number, isn't it? 12 new people.
Is it?
I'm just being positive. Take that.
Already?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Really?
Moot.
Martin says, if Double Turn was a busted and game-breaking, as some people say, then there wouldn't be the same old faces winning all the major tournaments. It's a key part of the game. 100%. Well, I say 100%. I have very limited experience, Martin, to be honest with you, in terms of actually playing it myself. I've been hit with a Double Turn once in some of the games I've been playing since trying to learn 3rd edition and stuff. And I actually didn't necessarily feel that bad, to be honest with you. But that might have been that specific occurrence. The big thing for me, like I said, is talking to a lot of the AoS crowd, people that I know who have played AoS forever and have been playing it for the last 2 to 3 editions. Nobody's ever really been all that upset by the Double Turn. They always seem to be like positive, we want to keep it. And the Warcom article did say that they canvassed the crowd, the sort of AoS crowd, and their playtesters, etc. And one of the big pieces of feedback they had was, please don't remove it. The thing is as well, from my perspective, I want to keep playing 40k, and I want to keep playing a lot of 40k because I very much enjoy it. I love the narrative, I love the universe, I love the game. I love the game in general, even if I don't like the current rule set. I love the game of 40k, right? But I don't want 40k and AoS to be literally competing with each other and basically be the same game and one slightly better than the other one. I want them to feel like different games, and I feel like Double Turn is one of those mechanics, at least, that allows them to feel like different games, personally. And I want to keep them separate. I want them to be 2 different games who feel like different games. And I think that potentially is the way it's going. And 40k might end up being that one that's kind of more dialed in for a more competitive kind of environment because it's more predictable and there's less sort of random in it. And AoS, for me, at the moment at least, is looking like it's just going to be the more fun game out of the 2, if I'm honest with you. So that's my opinion anyway. Right, we got that far. Meat Squadron, thank you so much for the 2. I always go number 1 on my nuts when it's cold out. That's quite out of context because it was quite a while ago. I don't know what that's in reference to. Cool. We had a super chat, Joe, from Meat Squadron, right, who says, I always go number 1 on my nuts when it's cold out. Don't unmute it before you clip it on, you lunatic. Just make loads of noise now, won't it? There we go. Good.
All right.
Yeah.
Joe goes pee-pee on his...
I always go number 1 on my nuts when it's cold out.
Yeah.
Jay's lost for words.
Right, the logistics on that, right. Obviously, when it's a bit cold, it becomes a bit of an introvert, doesn't it? It'd be quite easy because it just goes... But if you quite well endowed, you have to curl it on itself, wouldn't it?
Jill, thank you for the 10. She says, choo-choo, hype train.
Hype train.
Absolutely, 100%. Jill, also, thank you for the gifted membership. You're amazing. Putting us on 13. And then Mr. Armholio, he comes in and gifts 5 of the finest memberships, Jay.
You can stay.
Yeah, up to 18.
Yeah.
Up to 18. Why do we need to know this? Are men okay? Willow, we are all very much not okay.
The only time I know about... Right, I feel like there's 2 times where it's acceptable to essentially wee on yourself.
I'm not entirely sure it's ever acceptable, Joe.
Like
jellyfish stings.
Jellyfish sting,
right?
Right.
Maybe there's one occurrence.
Right. I imagine it's a lot harder to do if you're a woman.
It depends where the sting is.
Yeah, like on your arm.
Yeah.
You know? Or if you're in a wetsuit, apparently that's like etiquette. I've never worn a wetsuit.
I have worn a wetsuit. I can confirm I've never relieved myself.
I imagine I'd look like a bike tyre that's about to pop. You know when you get that big bubble on the side?
Albin says, I've always loved 40k lore, but whenever I think about starting, I look through the model ranges and abort the mission. I guess AoS spoiled me with the best and most fun miniatures.
He's not wrong.
Do you know what? So we talk about this a lot. We talk about AoS models versus 40k models loads. And we're going to jump into an article that shows off one of the new Age of Sigmar models in just a moment. You know what? I think it does have the best model range, personally, comparatively. Some of it is subjective, though. So if you prefer a more sci-fi kind of vibe, you may prefer 40k models. And that's okay that you prefer 40k models. It just means that you're wrong. But that being said, some of the new Dark Angels for 40k, I think they're a gorgeous model range.
Oh, very nice.
The new World Eaters for me, Berserkers specifically, I love them.
Berserkers go together so well.
Anything new and plastic they've been bringing out for the Eldar, for me personally, they've smashed it out the park.
Yeah,
40k's got glorious models. Like, look at Abaddon.
He's beautiful. I have no intention of playing Eldar, but I really want to paint an Eldar army.
Yeah.
Because they're just nice models.
They're very nice models, yeah.
They're just really beautiful kits. The new Kroot, for instance, for Tau. All of them are a win.
The new Kroot are gorgeous.
Yeah.
They're fucking gorgeous. So much so, I almost committed to building a Tau army just because of new Kroot.
Yeah.
And then I read the rules and realized they're absolute fucking toilet. And I was like, do I really want to put time into that when I could be building and painting stuff for AoS 4?
The new Chaos Lord they've shown off, beautiful. The one with the jump pack, I'm not so keen on, but a lot of people do really like it. There's still nice stuff in 40k.
Both ranges look great to me. I don't understand how one is better than the other. Well, Casey, this is the thing, mate, right? It's absolutely subjective. Like, one isn't better than the other, necessarily, unless you think one's better than the other. So I sit here and I say, Age of Sigmar model range, let's clarify slightly. I sit here and I say the Age of Sigmar model range is the best they do and it's better than everything else that they make. That's my opinion. That's not a fact. That's my opinion. And so when I say that, I'm not telling you that you should think AoS models are better than 40k models. I'm telling you that that's my opinion, that they're better. I think they do a better job. I think they have more creative freedom to be a bit wild, and being allowed that freedom and then use that freedom. I think 40k, partly perhaps because of the narrative and the development of 40k over the course of the last however many, like 40 years or whatever, I think 40k has a significant higher level of restriction on what a Space Marine can look like, or what an Eldar Banshee can look like, for example. Age of Sigmar, they're basically creating new races, they're creating new sub-factions within those races, and the designers are being told, do what you fucking want, off you go.
Yeah.
And that's what they're doing. So I think that that level of creative freedom means we're seeing some of the most wonderful fantasy inventions ever, and there's very few misses. That being said, that's, again, an opinion. Now, if you are a 40k fan and you're not an AoS fan, and if you like the 40k aesthetic, if you are mad about space, and I know people like this, fucking mad about Space Marines. This man is pretty mad about Space Marines, and there are people out there that will go, I will take a Space Marine over any of the AoS infantry models any day of the week because they flat prefer Space Marines. It's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
This is the thing, chat. Right? These are opinions.
Yeah.
And we can have discussions about opinions. What I refuse to do actually is argue about opinions, only because it's an opinion. And if you tell me, Liam, you're wrong, I don't think AoS models are nicer, I prefer 40k models, I'm like, cool, I'm glad.
Here's all right. If you look at the Kroot stuff, my favourite model that Games Workshop has released in the last year, one of my favourite models, the Lictor. The new Lictor.
Lictor?
I didn't know.
Hey!
That Lictor kit is so good. And if you think about how they went from the old Marine range to Primaris has given Games Workshop a lot of creative freedom. Because obviously they have to keep the Space Marine outline, don't they, really? The big shoulders, the backpack, the big greaves, and a big blocky gun. Or a blocky pistol and a big blocky sword. But if you think, out of the Primaris range, we have the whole Phobos range, which still look like Space Marines.
Yep.
But it's in a very different armor mark.
Yep.
And then we've got the Gravis armor stuff.
Still looks like Space Marines.
Still look like Space Marines, but it's Space Marines Plus.
Yeah.
Really.
Willow says AoS doesn't have 40 years of bloated history dragging their design philosophy down, which matters a ton. I personally am inclined to agree. But there's people out there. We've had a lot of comments, and I think we spoke a little bit at the start of the stream about people are unsubscribing from the channel. I think part of the problem is we've done a lot of talking about AoS recently, and some people are like, "Not on my watch, 40k only." We're still doing 40k content. So this week still has 2 40k game streams. The 40k Liam and Joe 40k show on Thursday. We'll have Warhammer Wednesday tomorrow. We're still doing tons of 40k content. I still love it. We're just now. Joe said this best the other week when he said the approach him and I are taking specifically is all things Warhammer. Do not be surprised in the future if you see Warcry, if you see Blood Bowl, if you see Kill Team. Don't be surprised. We're like, Warhammer's just fucking great, isn't it? Yeah. All of it's great.
Yeah, I've enjoyed the hobby more since we embraced all hobby.
All hobby.
Because obviously we were over a year ago, we were incredibly 40k focused.
Only 40k only.
Yeah, and then over a year ago, it was a lot of 40k, only 40k focused, and a lot of it was competitive.
Yep.
Because that's what was popular at the time, and we were doing a lot of it. But now, where 10th editions come out and things got a little bit stagnant, we're tired of competitive. We're like, well, why do we get into the hobby? Cool models, cool rules. What do you like about the hobby? Everything. I love all the things.
Daryl says you don't have a studio like that and only use it for 40k. That's madness. I actually kind of agree. We're going away from being a 40k channel, while still at the moment putting out as much 40k content as we ever have before, arguably slightly more. And we're moving into being a wargaming channel, like Ben says, like Captain Manager says. You're amazing. Right. Do you want to go through the next few super chats after
So we've got Beardhammer Wargaming only here because you started AoS content.
Amazing.
That's incredible that we're stealing a new market. But also, a lot of channels that have done AoS in the past and they're just flat stopped. And it's like,
yeah, well, I get it. So people obviously So I think Lawrence was one of these at Tabletop Tactics who did this recently. Stopped doing AoS content, and people get a bit upset when they subscribe to a channel and they stop doing the content. The problem we have is we have to make business-based decisions. Yeah. And that's sometimes quite difficult. And sometimes that means not doing things we want to do because business. And sometimes that means doing things we don't want to do because business. And unfortunately, that's part of being a business. Yeah. I've said this a few times. My personal opinion is I'm actually really glad for the channel because with 10th edition, I reckon if I didn't have the channel, 2 months into 10th edition, I'd just stop playing 40k. And I'm actually really grateful for the channel because it forced me to keep playing 40k, and now I'm having loads of fun, which I wouldn't have been doing, I reckon, if I didn't have the channel.
Well, it meant that we could analyse what we're doing, how we're doing it, and what we want to do going forward. Because we're not enjoying this. This isn't fun. I'd get to your house and we'd get in the studio and what we're doing tonight, and I can't be bothered.
The one thing I am sorry for, Beardhammer, if I'm completely honest with you, now you've found the channel, no one else compares.
Yeah.
It's just fact of life, I'm afraid.
You have to sing that song to yourself every night.
That's not even opinion anymore. That's just fact now. People watch the channel and go, I can't watch anything else now. Everything else is a bit shit.
Yeah. Someone's talking about other hobby. I did see someone, I missed the name. Well, I saw the name and then I forgot it, but I did hear the comment. How am I doing with Old World? I'm about 2/3 of the way through 2,000 points of Bretonians. I'm building metals at the moment and I want to gouge my eyes out. Metal Bretonian knights can do one. Right?
I got some sweary messages from him this weekend.
Look. 10 to 15-year-old Joe was off his nut wanting a Bretonian army.
Yeah. Adult Joe has realised that wasn't quite a great...
Yeah. I did dwarves and... I did the plastic armies then. I left myself in... I would have been a lot more miserable doing the metal ones. I remember the days of building metal Carnifexes and Hive Tyrants, and that's easy because they're big and that you can pin them because they're big and they're easy to hold onto. When you're holding onto a torso the size of a pea, right, and you're trying to drill into it with a tiny drill, which is essentially a threaded needle, because when you slip, it just goes, oh, I'm inside you now. And that's life, isn't it?
Thanks for Super J anyway. Yeah. Next.
Because
I know what you're like. We've got time, Joe.
Thank you, Armholio. Guns are always more exciting. Pointy. I think he missed out Dan. Guns are always more exciting than pointy sticks.
But again, that's a subjective thing.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think the concept of two warriors coming into close quarters and fighting each other in an epic duel to the death is more exciting than, oh, there's a bag over there, bang, he's dead.
Joe the thing about guns, right? Do you know what the archetype of a Space Marine is? It's a knight with a sword and a pistol and a shield. So even Space Marines are like, guns are lame.
Yeah.
Spears and shit.
That's what I'm saying, right? So
Or a spear with a gun
the reason
on it.
why I think guns are less exciting is because there's a bag over there. Bang, it's dead now. Oh, done. Oh, that's it. Is it? Cool. Okay. And then when you've got two knights in fucking with spears and swords and shields and bows and arrows, it's more like get into close quarters, start actually swinging swords at each other and fighting. You know, that's. I feel like that's more exciting, personally. Okay? The whole Lord of the Rings would be very, very different with guns and shit, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Walk into Moria, open up with a minigun, all the orcs are dead.
Would be Star Wars, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then in Star Wars, what they have to do in Star Wars, they have to make the stormtroopers the least accurate stormtroopers in the world ever.
That whole film, right, series, would have been over very quickly if stormtroopers could shoot.
If they actually trained them, then they yeah.
Right, if they shot down that escape pod in A New Hope, film over.
Yep.
Done.
Yep. Absolutely.
Credits.
Exactly.
Yeah. Star Wars, Troy Donald pod. Film over. Great.
100%.
That completely wonky-eyed gunner on that Star Destroyer, he ruined everything for the Empire.
Yeah.
Luke would have just been a vapor farmer for the rest of his life.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Richard C. Where would you start with AoS books for the lore and story? I am aware of the general gist of the general setup for AoS. #bombardment.
Personally, I have no idea. I think Alekman, who's been in the streams a lot since we started doing content with Warhipster, who's all over the AoS lore, has given you some suggestions. I've listened to him because he typically seems to know what he's talking about. You might have some suggestions?
I think if you could because now the edition's basically over, if you could pick up the rule book on the cheap off like eBay or Facebook Marketplace or something, that has like all the basic background stuff. And then you could, the newest thing at the moment is the, what are they called? They're not heralds. They had the box sets, didn't they? Excuse me, I'm going to burp. Where it had like the horseman. What are they called? Not the forerunners. They had the campaign books that came with the special box sets, didn't they? You're not helping me here.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You had like Snake Lady, she was one, Somber Horseman.
Dawnbringer?
Dawnbringer series, yes. Thank you. The Dawnbringer books, honestly, campaign books, but they've got a lot of narrative in them as well. Because that's like the setup for the new edition. Thank you, Hamlin.
Oh, we've done it already.
Yeah, we're there now. We're going to get now the chat's caught up with the video. We'll be like, Dawnbringers, thank you. But then I think the good thing, once you've kind of got a basic understanding, you can literally just pick any book. I'm a big fan of the Warhammer horror stuff, so I tend to just pick a book, right? Or obviously Games Workshop have released a lot of special models recently. I think so. You can pick. So like you've got the Canis and Toll books.
I think what you've said as well, though, like the core rule book logically will set up the scene in slightly more detail than you already know.
Yeah, and
that's probably not a bad place to start as well, because it can be quite confusing sometimes, the mortal realms in general. And my Warhammer rep, Games Workshop rep, said to me, like, the best way for me personally to understand it, he's very, very invested in 40k lore. He was like, the realms are planets, essentially. Yeah. I mean, they're not planets, but if you treat them like planets, so the realm of fire is a planet, the realm of death is a planet. Yeah. And if you apply that sci-fi logic to it, it starts to make more sense. But I think you're right. Pick up a core rule book, get the basic narrative down. What I always found worked for me quite well in 40k, actually, and I'm starting to do the same in AoS, is also pick up battle tomes or codexes and read the lore in those, because often it's quite simplified, and it will give you, like I often, so for example, if you pick up the Nighthaunt battle tome and you read the Nighthaunt lore, you're probably going to get to a point where you're like, I have a general understanding of Nighthaunt lore with some detail about specific events. Now I'm prepared to dive into a book that's a lot more detailed.
Yeah.
Or I didn't. I've got a general understanding, but I wasn't that invested in it. So maybe this isn't the one for me to buy a big book on.
All novels that get released have a general, like as part of storytelling in general, is that they have a brief outline near the start of the book about where they are, what's going on, what's happened, why they're there.
Yeah.
You've got the Kado Ezekiel books, who's the vampire guy. He's got one book out already. He's got a new one coming out soon. You've got the Vendence books about the two witch hunters. They're really good. I'm going to pick up Canis and Toll soon.
If you look at the Mortal Realms diagram, it looks like a solar system there.
Yeah. Or like someone else, I think it's Crumpets Panda says, like, just pick an army you like and pick the books to go with them.
Which has always been our rule for 40k as well.
Yeah.
To be fair.
And because that'll give you up-to-date history, or if it's an old book, it'll tell you kind of how those armies were set up.
Yeah.
And obviously that helps feed your hobby as well.
Yeah.
Because like, I really like not Empire, but I really like City Sigmar. I've got a bunch of City Sigmar stuff. Now that has influenced how my army looks and plays and what it does.
Talk about feeding hobbies! ! Gift in chat. We're still on 18 members.
Yeah. Thank you, 40k Medic. I personally love the fact you guys are opening up new things. Fresh keeps the channel fresh.
Well, part of the promise we sort of made with the studio in general was that we would do that, and we're now starting to get to a point where we can do that. The problem is learning new games, getting stuff ready for new games, having the terrain, the maps, the armies, etc. There is a lot of work involved, perhaps slightly more than I anticipated, especially since a lot of that sits on Joe's shoulders. So we're getting there, and I would like to. I picked up the most recent Warcry box with the Harlequin Lumineth and the Ghosts.
Ghosts.
At some point, I'd like to get that built up, and maybe we'll play some Warcry in the future, because Warcry looks like a fun game. I look at things like Warcry, Kill Team, Blood Bowl, and perhaps these will make good pre-recorded content rather than live streams, because we're also going to run out of space to fit live streams into. But I think that I want to turn this. I want to gently steer the ship away from just being 40k, while still covering almost as much, if not as much 40k as we always have, but to being a wargaming channel where we just have fun. Yeah. Now, currently, the plan at the moment at least isn't to stray too far away from Games Workshop and Games Workshop products, because I know them quite well. But I'm not adverse to Bolt Action, Star Wars Legion, Shatterpoint, Fallout, all those kinds of games in the future. Yeah. But baby steps. Yeah. But this Great Hall, it was never going to change overnight, but it has opened up opportunities to do a lot more stuff in the future.
Like the new edition of Bolt Action is in September. I'm not saying we do loads of Bolt Action content, but I'd love to have like one game and be like, this is what it looks like.
Yeah.
Just throw it out into the ether.
Yeah. Cool. Is that the last one or is there more?
That's it.
That's it. No more gifteds.
Yeah.
Still on 18.
Yeah. What I was gonna say? What's the?
Okay, right. Skaven warlock engineer fuse magic and technology with this rodent researcher from the clan's Sky. The Skaven have combined vile magic with cursed artifice since their earliest days, and the techno-arcanists of the clan have been busy in the age of Sigmar. I don't fucking know. Warlock engineer. There'll be pictures of it where it goes to that. The new warlock engineer is a sniper of surpassing skill who uses warpstone-infused bullets to take down enemy characters from afar. The best place for any Skaven to be, right?
Here he is. Be up close.
Hey?
Skaven, I like to be up close.
What a fucking cool model.
That's cool, isn't it?
What a cool model. I love it. It screams Skaven to me, that does.
That is. I like how he's got like a little metal foot.
I didn't even notice that. Yeah. He's cool, isn't he? There's a little rat on his shoulder there as well. Yeah. Right, thank you, Katie, thank you. Yay, we got one. If you're a grey name, ! member if you want to spend your own money. Skull tier membership gets you access to Discord as well as early access to the sagas we're doing. Peachy Saga coming very, 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 very soon. We're starting to confirm some more guests. Amazing. And there's other membership tiers that give you other things. I don't actually think the YouTube thing is completely up to date, but hey, I think he is gorgeous. The Warp Block Musket is deadly indeed, with 2 shots at D3 damage and 2 rend, and the ability to auto-wound on a critical hit. An eager engineer can further amplify its power using the reaction ability More Warp Energy, granting the musket a flat 3 damage for the turn, providing you shot without moving. This being a Skaven device, of course, there's always a chance it might blow up in your face.
That's great, I like that.
What's more, the Warlock Engineer is a spiteful sniper master, spotting enemy leaders with the well-owned expertise, and the far peeker tube of its warp block optics, patent pending, before pointing them out for any warp block Giselles within a staggering 13 inches of range. I love the 13, it's kind of narrative, right? So here is his data sheet. 5 health, 2 control, save 5+, move 6 inches. Here's his musket, right? 24-inch range, 2 shots, hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s, AP2, essentially, Ren 2, D3 damage, crit, auto wound. Okay? That says critical hits can auto wound.
Yeah.
That's a decent weapon.
That's not bad.
It's a decent weapon,
Yeah.
right? Reaction, you declared a shoot ability for this unit. It was not set up this turn, and it has not used a move ability this turn. Very, very clear, very obvious, right? Roll a dice. On a 2+, set the damage characteristic of this unit's warp block musket to 3 for the rest of the turn. On a 1, inflict D3 mortal damage on this unit.
But
It's a plasma pistol, essentially.
yeah.
It's cool. Sniper Master, once per turn, army your shooting phase. Declare, pick a visible enemy hero to be the target. Effect, for the rest of the turn, this unit and friendly warp block Giselles units wholly within 13 inches of this unit can ignore the effects of guarded hero ability. Core rules. Have they showed us that? I don't think so. When picking the target for their shooting attacks. Oh, here we go. It's like they've written this article on purpose, Joe.
Yeah.
Ignoring the guarded hero ability is obviously fantastic, but what is guarded hero exactly? These are the leaders and characters who are protected by the press of friendly bodies around them, much like the old Lookout Sir rule, making them harder to snipe with a cheeky arrow or glowing musket round. Monsters and war machines are a bit too conspicuous to benefit from this kind of protection, but smaller heroes can find safety in obscurity, and infantry heroes can be downright impossible to target from far away, at least until a warlock engineer gets involved. Guarded heroes. All heroes that are not monsters or war machines have the guarded hero passive ability. Passive meaning it's active all of the time, right?
Nice. Yep.
If this hero is within the combat range of a friendly unit that is not a hero, subtract 1 from hit rolls for shooting attacks that target this hero. If this hero is infantry, they cannot be picked as a target of shooting attacks made by units more than 12 inches from them.
It's like Lone Up.
It's like Lone Up, but like we don't have to stick characters in units. Good.
It's like 9th edition.
It's like Lone Up, but they've thought about it. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. The Warlock Engineer is just one of a number of Skaven characters returning to the game with a fresh look and some unpleasant innovations. We'll have more to show you soon, but for now, check out the rest of the coverage of the new edition. We've already done that. There you go. So, guarded hero, that's interesting because that's something that we didn't know before. I think that's really nice. So, infantry characters that aren't monsters or war machines basically can't be targeted when they're near a friendly unit unless you're within 12.
Yeah.
And if they are targeted, it's -1 to hit,
Yeah.
even if you're within 12. But there are some rules that get around that.
Yeah. I do love warp block Giselles as well. Rats with sniper rifles.
I mean, I actually think this guy's beautiful.
Yeah.
I think he's cool as shit. I like him quite a lot. I've never really been a Skaven fan before, but he's cool. I like him. I'd like to see the side profile with a sniper rifle, to be honest with you, but hey.
Yeah.
You know. Boop. There we
Got
go.
a big orb. He's got a hand on an orb.
There you go, we're done. That's the articles.
I like it.
Yeah.
Mwah.
But yeah, I mean, crit hit auto wound is interesting. The fact that narratively these rules currently seem to be hitting the mark. To be honest with you, but nice confirming that War Machine heroes could be a thing. I'd love to see it. It does mean that obviously big characters like Teclis and stuff aren't going to get it. Radagar probably isn't going to get it. He's a monster, I assume.
Yeah. So I think it makes sense though, doesn't it? Like Teclis isn't going to be harder to hit because he's on a massive bird cat thing, and he's floating around like a balloon. So he's easier to hit. But also in Age of Sigmar, guns aren't massively long range. So if you go target a character when you're within 12 inch, it also means you're in danger.
Well, it depends on the character, but yeah.
The thing is, if you think because the thing I like about the balance in Age of Sigmar is that a combat unit is a combat unit and a shooting unit is a shooting unit. A shooting unit is okay/good at shooting, but it is terrible in combat.
Yeah.
That's how you get your balance, kind of thing. So it means that if you're within 12 inches of a character, right, that's being protected by a unit, and that unit is a combat unit, you're probably dead next turn.
Yeah, Crumpets Bandit has said, I assume mounted knight characters don't count as infantry. I assume so as well.
Yeah.
That means your knight always gets the -1, but doesn't get the outside of 12 inches rule. Yeah, correct, yeah. Because the outside of 12 inches rule is only for hero infantry units.
In combat range. So that combat range is 3 inches, isn't it?
If you're in combat range, you're 3 inches, I think. Yeah, I think it showed us that already.
Yes.
Yeah. So if your horseman, who's your cavalry hero, is within 3 inches of a cavalry unit, or actually within 3 inches of any rank and file infantry, he's -1 to hit, but you still can target him because he is still on a fucking horse. Yeah? I like it. I
love it.
I will say this one's a little less thematic, not much engineering or warlocking, but it's a cool rat sniper team leader. Yeah, he's a cool rat sniper team leader. I think he's cool.
Yeah, I would imagine that there will be different types of engineering. But like they've done it with the other stuff. Most engineers tend to make shooting units better. That's how they seem to operate in AoS.
Oh.
Like they had the guy with the
Stormcast
guy with the 2 hammers who just made all artillery way better.
But it's sort of what they did with 40k. Tech Marines make vehicles better at shooting.
Yeah, and fix them.
Yeah.
And it's like there's not many war machines in Age of Sigmar. You've got the big wheelie doom thing that Skaven have.
The Doom Wheel.
The doom wheel.
The wheelie doom thing. The Doom Wheel.
The wheelie doom thing. You've got the big bell on wheels as well, haven't you?
The Screaming Bell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The bell that screams.
The Steam
right?
Tank.
Yeah.
They're not vehicles, either. They're war engines.
Yeah, that's like a big kettle, isn't it?
The Steam Tank.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not actually a cannon at the front, it's just a whistle.
Yeah. I can't think of any other war machines.
Yeah.
So everything's like an animal or a beast. Really.
It'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Because like maybe the black coach for Nighthawk would be war machine, possibly.
If you think historically in the British military, engineers are the guys that hang around with the cannons.
Caravan Overlords will have lots of war machines, I assume.
Yeah.
They're all in Steamboat Willie, aren't they?
Yeah.
I don't know what else though, to be honest with you, but yeah, there'll be some. Chariots might cast as war machines, but I imagine they'll probably actually be chariots, to be fair. Anyway, so that, I mean, the cool rules, but I still think that out of those 2 articles, the magic one's that's the most exciting.
Yeah, I think the magic one's really good because it's like, why isn't that in 40k? Right,
and this is the difficulty because I am conscious that I don't want to be a person who's like, I want all of this in 40k. Because like I said earlier, I don't want both games to be exactly the same.
No.
I want there to be a difference so that it feels like I'm playing 2 different games.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of conscious of all these things like, should do that in 40k, should do that in 40k. But there will come a point where then the 40k rule set is just the AoS rule set, but with guns and shit.
Yeah.
But Magic, but Magic is one of those things where I really miss the psychic phase.
It was almost like that. Like the Games Workshop tends to like, it's not happens all the time, but sometimes they kind of over nerf things. What's complicated in this game? Magic. How are we going to fix that? Get rid of it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no. So I want to keep Magic, just simplify it.
AoS, what's complicated Magic? What do we do? Well, you pick a law.
Yeah.
All of your wizards know all of that law.
Yeah.
All the time.
If you think, like, for instance, like the prime example, this worked really well for us, something like Tyranids. It's a hive mind. They're all part of a greater creature. All creatures are one. Why does one creature know one ability and one know that? Surely both of them would know both, kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's like you said it yourself, right? It's like law for Space Marines or Eldar, like Eldrad.
Yeah.
He would logically know every single power.
Yeah.
Magnus, they do it Magnus.
Yeah.
But Eldrad, no, just Doom. That's all he gets is Doom. Right? He's been alive for thousands of years, and the only psychic thing he learned to do was Doom and 3 extra fate dice.
Yeah, he's been like, Doom, Guide, Fortune, Bosh, you know?
But even then, like I personally feel like Doom, Guide, Fortune is fine, and you get Guide on your Bike Seer, and you get Doom on Eldrad, and you get Fortune on your Footseer. but then we don't have anything else.
But what it does is it really limits the amount of models you're going to bring in your army and what models you bring. You're like, I'm going to bring a bike here. Why? It's because he's got that power. Does it make sense or no? Because everyone next to him's on foot. So it's to go really, really slowly. You know? Or it's like, I want to take a one on foot because he's got the ability that I want, but everything I want to be affected by his ability is really fast. So now I have to buy like a tank to put him in. But if he's in the tank at the start of the phase, he can't do his powers anyway.
Well, yeah, well, I just don't like the fact that they've removed it. I genuinely miss a psychic phase. Maybe I'm in the minority, you know, but I genuinely miss having a psychic phase and miss picking those powers. And I would make Farseers who are incredibly aggressive, and I wouldn't just take Doom and Fortune the whole time because, you know what, I want to do something a bit different.
Well, it kind of... by getting rid of it, it took a lot of flavour out of things. So, like, it took the flavour out of Eldar and Thousand Sons. It took the flavour out of Tyranids because they're anti. It's like thing like Sisters of Silence, an entire army of Knoll Maidens. They're a void within the warp, right? What are they good at now? Oh, they give a feel no pain to Custodes. Great.
Well, they themselves get a threat for the pen against psychic attacks. But the problem is most people now know what the fuck psychic attacks are because it just gets lost in the sea of range attacks. And
like whereas before, they couldn't be targeted by psykers.
Yeah.
If they were near psykers, they made them worse. They don't even do that anymore. Or it's like Drakari, an entirely non-psychic race, but had technology designed to combat and deal with psykers. And they were like, off the table. Off it goes. Doesn't exist anymore. And it just took a massive bit of flavour from the game.
I think some of their design choices for 10th edition have made demonstrating the narrative on the tabletop more difficult for the rules writers in general. And it's their own fault. They're the ones that write the rules. But I definitely feel like they are. I definitely feel like they have restricted what they can do in terms of correctly representing the narrative because of the rules that they've written. Yeah, to be honest with you, as someone who's never had more than 2 psychics in an army, I am really missing psychic. Yeah, I think I really miss it. And again, it's one of those like I'll be honest, and you know, I was one of those people when they announced we've made it simpler, and there's just people. I was like, oh, this sounds super cool. I like it, and it hasn't played out the way I was hoping it would play out.
And the great thing about psykers is that you have that psychic battle between 2 psykers as well. You don't have that anymore.
No.
So you go like, I'm going to cast my ability, and then you be like, your opponent's like, oh, I'm in range. I could stop it.
Yeah.
And then you have that really tense moment of like, I really need to stop this one, and your opponent's like, I really need them to fail because I really need this to go off. So it becomes like a good moment.
I'm in range of a Space Marine Librarian where he's got a psychic hood. He's even better at denying psychic
Or like
powers.
my guy can cast 2 spells, but you can only stop 1. So then it's like a gamble of like, which one do you try and stop, kind of thing. And then the one that your opponent wants to get off, they always cast it second, right? And then actually your opponent keeps their denied, lets the first one go off, and then your opponent, and then you fail the psychic ability, and it becomes a great, wonderful moment.
At least now the Librarian psychic hood's really useful once his squad dies.
Yeah. The psychic phase needs to come back, right? Because, like, the whole point of people collecting Thousand Sons, for instance, like, they replaced the psychic of the phase with a Thousand Sons with the bloody Cabal point system, which is just a bit broken.
I like the Cabal point system on the whole, but yeah, I just miss a psychic phase in general. But you know, so fantasy, Age of Sigmar having a magic phase, or I say having a magic phase, it looked like from what we saw there that it's done in the hero phase. There's not a separate magic phase; it's just done in the hero phase because it said that you use the deny in the hero phase. So that's why I'm making an assumption. Having, however, magic still being magic. And not just things that happen now. Like I kind of hate the fact that, for example, with my Eldar, this is controversial. One of my favourite psychic things was post-Codex 9th edition Eldar. I'll explain. So now, if I want to use guide on my bikes here, I roll a dice on a 2+, I get guide. That's it. So 5 times out of 6, I'm going to get guide no matter what, right? If I roll a 1, because I'm Eldar, I take no damage. I'm cool. I'm whatever. Good. No risk, no reward, right? There's none of that issue at all. What I liked about 9th edition Eldar Psychic Powers was, much like the chanting we saw with the priests, if you roll this number, you get guide. If you roll this number, you get a better guide, right? You can cast it further away, right? So I really liked that, and it was like the chanting. Like there was a way of it. So if I roll a higher number or I use a fate dice, I almost guarantee getting a better psychic cast. But at the same time, my opponent can still try and deny it. You know, I felt like that was always better than just 2+ got it, 2+ got it, and it goes back to it legitimately goes back to exactly what we were talking about earlier: predictability. 40k has so much predictability, and AoS seems to be getting the balance right between things being okay to reliable, but still having a ton of unpredictability.
By making it predictable, you're making the dice rolling less important as well, which
Albin, so what you've just said, Albin, 100% has nailed it, I think, here. I think the removal of the phase is just a symptom or part of the bigger problem, where balance in a partly luck-based game system completely overrides flavour, fun, and variety. So you're right, it gets rid of the dice roll, essentially. It becomes just a thing that you do alongside everything else. You know?
And I think that's a big problem with the game. And we remove, like, obviously by playing on the channel and this live streams, we try and get rid of the predictability by, yes, we set up a specific mission, we try and lay it out with the table, or we do, like, now, before I used to do table layout, then the mission and the deployment zones. What I tend to do now is pick a deployment zone, then do the table layout to try and make a thematic narrative to it, and then pick the mission afterwards. Right.
Okay.
Because obviously, where the objectives are, that kind of dictates where I could put terrain, essentially. And then I'll try and do something kind of to make sense of like why these two forces are fighting in this specific layout. And then you can kind of pick a mission around that. And then obviously the cards just do what they do in the game. So like we've got rid of the predictability by saying, like, we're here, we're having a fun narrative game, and then the cards are just a byproduct of what's happening. But obviously, because we're bringing more narrative lists, we're like, well, actually, I can't do this secondary that's normally really easy, but I could probably do this slightly harder one because of how I've made my army. Doc Series says, one thing I do have to say, one of my main armies, Necrons, fighting against a psychic heavy army was a drag a lot of the time because my opponent would have a 20-minute phase where I just had to sit there. And that's something that's, I think, has been bad in 40k in general for a while now. And Age of Sigmar has talked a lot in the articles, at least, about interactivity and reactions and that you do stuff in your opponent's turn. I am hoping that actually translates during the 4th edition games to an experience on the tabletop where it is very interactive all the way through. Because you're right. What I don't want to go back to ever, and this still exists now. This still happens in the shooting phase, for example. One of the things I want to see, or I don't want to see, is I don't want to see us go back to okay, it's my shooting phase. This happens now. So in 20 minutes, I'll tell you, what saves to roll. Or your only interactivity in that 20 minutes is just rolling armor saves sometimes. And sometimes, again, talk about that predictably for 40k, when you've got, all right, I've got 30 shots, I hit on 2s, reroll 1s, wound on 2s, reroll 1s. Brilliant. So I know what I'm doing then. I'm rolling about 25 saves. Brilliant. How often in 40k do we go, just going to call it an Uber? There's no way you can't kill that. It said in the article back there about how you can cast in your opponent's phase. So you do your casting, I do my casting. So, like, the fact that your opponent's phase won't just feel like your opponent's phase.
Here's the other thing, right? Your magic phase, right? You've got a wizard who can cast.
There's a really big bird out there. He's disappeared.
Your phase, right? Your magic phase, or whatever. You've got a hero with power level 2. Okay, so I've got the ability to cast in your phase. So do you cast 2 spells And when I cast a spell, you've cast 2 spells, so I don't know if you'll be able to deny it.
Yeah.
I feel like it counts as your power level as number of unbinds you can do. Maybe you can. Who knows? This is something that we'll need to get clarification on, but I'm quite excited about the counterplay that happens in your turn from me that also makes you think about the fact that counterplay is potentially coming.
Yeah.
And so you have to then play knowing that could be that's really cool.
Yeah, and obviously you've got attacking, you probably have attacking spells and buffing spells, and you'd be like, cool, I'm going to put there's attacking stuff on my characters, which you would do in 40k now, and your opponent goes, cool, I guess I'll just take that.
Yeah.
Or like, oh, I'm going to buff all my stuff now, and then I'm going to come and punch your face in, and you're like, cool.
Right, chat.
That's happening.
We have got 4 minutes, right? We're at 19 members today. I know it's a Tuesday lunchtime stream chat, but I thought like normally half the target at least. Normally 50.
It's cold out. They're all sad because it's not as
50.
sunny as it was on the weekend.
It's quite sunny here. It's quite nice here. It's a lovely.
I can see a massive grey cloud.
Shut up. It's a lovely warm ride over. Right? It's definitely not going to rain on me on the way home. All right. Exclamation mark, gift, grift, member.
Yeah.
Or my favourite one is this one, Joe. Are you ready? Exclamation mark, member.
Should we get like
Spelled that way.
Should we get like a little tin cup with some coins in it? We can just rattle.
That'd be a horrible noise.
Would it-
You already shake dice on the microphone far too
We'll
much.
borrow one off Eddie.
Will we? I'll get a phone call now.
right.
Hang up on that phone call.
Or a bean can full of stones.
A bean can full of stones.
Yeah.
It'd be a horrible noise with these
They're
microphones.
amazing. We'll get
On the whole, though, I am super pumped for the fact that there is still a magic phase. I actually think that it being simplified into you pick a spell lore when you build your army, and all your wizards know that lore, so I don't have to track who's got what spell. And any of the wizards in your army can cast any of those spells, but you can't cast more than one of the spells unless it's unlimited. And the same wizard can't cast unlimited spells more. Like it seems really clear.
What it does, right, is it means that, so like with your problem called Eldar, right? And you're like, I've got a character over here, character over there, character here, and you're like, oh, I completely misplaced these 2 psykers. I need that spell over here and that spell over here.
Yeah, I hated that. Hated that, Jay.
So what it does, it completely gets rid of that. So, all my psykers, they're from the same church, temple, you know, one school, and they all know the same thing. And they're cool. I've got I don't know, 3, 5, 10 spells that you have access to, and you go, cool. In this situation, I need this ability, this ability, this ability, this one. So he's going to cast that over here, he's going to cast that one over there, and then do that.
Well, what we don't know is how many spells a spell lore has in it. Because if you have, let's say a spell lore has 6 spells in it.
Yeah.
I'm only picking that because
if you go currently, you tend to go 6 warlord traits, 6 I don't know, stratagems.
So historically in 40k
It's 6s, isn't it?
it was 6s for psychic. So let's just say 6, just because I have no idea.
Yeah.
Let's just say 6, right? So if I now have 3 level 3 wizards, guess what? Not every single one of them will be able to use all of their spells. Depending on how many of them are unlimited. Because like Smite would have been like unlimited, I guess, in 40k. Might be interesting. Be really, really interesting. There'll become a number of wizard like power level that you have, which becomes inefficient because you won't you'll run out of things to cast. Do you know what I mean? I think that's interesting as well.
Yeah. Did I miss something? There's not a specific magic phase in AoS 4. I would assume it all goes in the hero phase.
I'm pretty sure it says hero phase for the dispel, whatever it is.
So you just it will go into the hero phase somewhere.
Yeah.
Right.
Love it.
Thank you, Joseph Swenson, for 10 gifted memberships.
Joseph Spencer's a hero. We love you, Joe.
The begging and the crying and the tears is worth it.
Yeah. Sometimes what I have to do is I have to cut a little hole in my pocket, right, and I just have to reach in with some tweezers and just pluck at pubes to make me cry.
I thought you were going to poke it out.
Like, pluck, cry, and
Why
then they gift.
Why you got a little button mushroom on your jeans?
You wouldn't see it on the camera, Joe.
Thank you, Dan Skippy, for 1
Thanks,
gifted
Skippy.
membership.
Thank you, man. You're a hero.
You are heroes.
I'm going to be hounding you tonight because Brom's playing Joe tonight.
Yeah.
But fun fact, I'm going to be producing.
Yeah. Yeah. You'll be there watching. Always watching Wazowski. Like that.
Yeah.
And I get to play Tryhard Brom.
He is Tryhard Brom now.
He is. He's not where. I saw his list and I was like,
You still taking it?
I'm bringing Chaos Space Marines. I'm fighting the urge to bring a list which wasn't designed for Brom, but it is a good counter to Brom. It was my anti kind of competitive meta Space Marine army that I'm kind of working on at the moment.
Yeah.
And I was like, to cause Brom some problems, especially after the Votan game where he basically put both hands, head and torso in me.
Yeah. I mean, you didn't do yourself many favours.
No. I played it in a way that would speed the game up.
By killing you really quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can bring a good-ish kind of anti-competitive Space Marine army, or I can bring Chaos Space Marines and show off the Night Lords that I'd painted. But then I couldn't show them off because I was asleep.
Well, we're playing on Thursday, so you could play Night Lords on Thursday against Custodes.
Yeah, Custodes.
Because I want to run some Custodes, and I feel like you've got more chance of not getting flattened with your Chaos Space Marines.
Yeah,
because
it's just the taste Custodes. Of just salted cheeks. Yeah, Brom just did a lap, licking my face. As I cried.
What armies are you hobbying for 4th? I know Stormies, Loomies, and Slaves. Are you guys taking dips on armies or share them amongst you?
Well, currently Kyle has one army, and we won't let him touch the rest.
No, he's picked a few.
He's got lizards.
He's picked. I'm trying to do all the names properly. He's picked lizards. Seraphon, thank you.
Yeah.
I think he picked Otiarch Bone Reapers.
Yeah.
I think he's picked Skaven.
He's picked Boner Men, has he?
I think he's picked Bone Reapers.
You can keep them. I'm going to upset a lot of people. I hate the Bone Reaper range, right? For one very specific aspect. And once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it, right? And it annoys me so much because I think it makes them look silly. They've got these massive bum chins.
They do have big bum chins.
There's a lot of bum chin going on.
They do have bum chins, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't hate the Bone Reaper range.
Like my favourite mod, actually, in that range, right, of the bum chin men, right?
Yeah.
You've got all these models, I'm like, oh, it's horrible. And then you've got Boner Xerxes in it. That big lord guy.
The guy with the... Yeah.
Yeah, he's great, right? And
cool.
Stood next to him is the coolest model ever, where he's got bum chin samurai man. He's got the little samurai boner man stood next to him. He's got full samurai.
These are all official names, by the way.
And I was like, I want more of that.
Yeah.
I have an entire army of skeleton samurais. Sold. Take Liam's money. It won't be mine because I haven't got any. So
it won't be mine. I haven't got any, Jay.
Yeah. They just look great. They look really good. I was like, samurai skeletons. More of, please.
Yeah. So he's picked Otiarch Bone Reapers, and then he's excited about Skaven because new Skaven.
Yeah. I've got Soulblight.
Yep.
Which is mostly I've got some more models to do. Like Liam very kindly got me a dragon the other day. Right.
From the zoo.
Yeah. He's dragging his balls. I've got that, and I've got Wolf Lady. I've got a few other little bits to add to the army. I've got more zombies. I want to do a corpse. I need to get a corpse cart because I think it just looks narrative, a corpse cart kind of going along with all the zombinils. Obviously, I've got Cities of Sigmar.
He's very excited about Cities of Sigmar.
So excited for Cities of Sigmar.
I'm counting down the days till he starts to fucking moan at me about painting them.
I'm so excited to paint them. And then
we'll see, chat.
I've got Slaves of Darkness.
Yeah, and Flesh Eater Courts.
And Flesh Eater Courts. I'm very excited for all of them. I'm finally happy to get paint on Slaves of Darkness because I've had them for a while.
I got us a Dark Oath box, Jay.
They look really nice.
And
I got the demon beastie guy on there.
I got the Dark Oath box because the Marauders in it look very Viking.
They're very cool.
But I also got the Dark Oath box basically knowing that it's for Joe to add to his Slaves of Darkness army. And I was like, that'd be a nice treat for Joe.
And it also comes with its own somber horse.
It does, yeah.
Yeah. Those horses in Age of Sigmar, this is a bit done with it, aren't they? They're like, got to go and run around in the
horses
muddy
are
field.
they're just tired, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. And oh my god. Also, the start of his next one's up there as well. Gloomspite Gits.
Oh yeah.
Carl wants to play Gloomspite Gits. At the moment, he's like, I want to play Skaven. I was like, cool, I've got no interest in Skaven. I want to play Bone Reapers. Like, I don't really want to play Bone Reapers. I like the narrative. I want to play Gloomspite bits. I was like, Kyle, you're fucking knocking this out the park.
Yeah.
You're picking all the ones I don't want.
And me and you have the same kind of favourites.
Do you love Lumineth?
No.
Sylvaneth?
No, actually, I do like some of the Lumineth models, but I've never been really drawn to them as playing.
Sylvaneth?
No. We've got
Idneth?
Foot Painter. No, I liked them when they first came out. Built and painted a bunch, and I was like, no.
So what we're saying is we don't really have the same likes. Because I have 3 favourites.
I am waiting on Dark Elves.
I've never normally liked Dark Elves.
Yeah, and we've already seen some of the model. Like, what I'm hoping the aesthetic for Dark Elves will be, because there was an Underworlds team and a Warcry team.
Yeah.
And they looked really, really nice. I'm hoping for more of those.
I think the only real crossover between the two of us would probably be
it was the Cities
and Soulblight. Yeah, and you were so desperate to do Soulblight, I was quite happy to let you go for it. And Cities was one of those where I very, very, very reluctantly handed it over.
Yeah.
But when I looked at Soulblight, when I looked at Cities and I looked at the detail, and I was like, they're gorgeous. I started building them and realised how much detail. And I was like, if we're going to bring them to the channel anytime this side of this millennium, Joe probably needs to paint them.
I have got my eye on Daughters of Cain.
Yeah, I've got my Nighthaunt.
And at some point in the future, because it's a lot to paint, I really like Head Knights of Slaanesh as well.
I've got Stormcast, I've got Lumineth, I've got this is armies I'm working on actively. I've got Nighthaunt, I've got Sylvaneth. I have got next door the start of Idneth, but that needs to probably wait because I've already got enough stuff on. I've already built one of the big Sons of Behemat models because I like Sons of Behemat, but I've heard that they were a bit silly at times in AoS. So, at the moment I'm completely obsessed with Stormcast and Lumineth.
Yeah.
But that'll probably develop.
Yeah. So someone is Drew says no one playing a Chaos God faction. I really like Head Knights. I was actually talking to Josh last night, Mr. War Hipster, about because he did a stream talking about Spearhead.
Yeah, you watch his streams, don't you? But you don't watch ours.
I literally talk to you every day. I'm like, oh, look at more of Liam's face, right? And I love Liam. About like the models that we currently have, what we need to add to it to kind of get the Spearhead. So I was like looking at, I really like the Nurgle guys.
Yeah, you love Maggotkin. I hate Maggotkin.
I really like Maggotkin. Nurgle, Maggotkin are a beautiful army to paint. They're just a fun painting army.
Yeah.
And the Maggotkin, like all we need to add to those is literally the floaty fat, the guys on the bees, the flies, the big fat guys on the flies.
Why don't you work in GW's naming department?
I don't know.
Yeah.
The Chumbawamba Flymen. And then a unit of the Boggo Chumbawambas on Chumbawambas on foot, the Tub Thumping crew, right? So those two, and then I've got enough to do the Spearhead because we've already got the rest of the demons. Khorne, we probably need a lot of. I think the Khorne box set is all humans.
I had a few people as well that were like, oh, Liam, you like World Eaters, you'll love Blades of Khorne. No, I don't think so.
I think Blades of Khorne are a bit spicy now. All their points went straight up.
I don't know. I'm not bothered by them.
Yeah.
The problem is when there's so many. I've always been an elf man first. When there's so many flavors of elves in Age of Sigmar, I just don't see why I'd ever touch anything other than elves, really. Apart from Stormcast, where I've actually got a poster boy faction that is a bit grim and dark and fucking cool, and We didn't show that post about that new dwarf model. I don't care.
We're
also 10 minutes over.
Bombadil.
And
can I get him? I want to get him.
We got to get
him. I want to paint him. I want to put him on my face about dwarf man.
And we do have to get ready for tonight. Only 30 memberships today, Joe. So they're going to have to step up their game later.
Yeah. I'll cry.
On stream?
Yeah.
Promise me?
Yeah.
When he does the second war?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On
Disappointing you,
I might lose my temper.
Disappointing you. Tonight at 7:30, we have got a live game of Warhammer 40k. Mr. the Brom is bringing the Bully Boys, who's facing off against Joe, who potentially at the moment is going to pivot into, what would the Space Marine Army be? I assume it's Flesh Tearers.
Yeah.
Pivot into Flesh Tearers.
I haven't run Flash Terrors in over a month. So I feel like it's fair, considering that's 8
As long as
streams.
you don't specifically just build an army just to table him, just to prove a point. That's fine. I don't care what you do.
I promise 0 things.
So thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you to everybody who super chatted. You people are amazing. Thank you to the people that did gift, although not many of them. You guys are also incredible. If you did get gifted a gifted membership, ! Discord in the chat. Get yourself in the Great Hall Discord server. Make sure you kicked everything up. You're all amazing people.
I'm proud of you for not being super salty about not getting gifted.
I mean, it hurts.
I'm bringing up a fact about it.
It hurts, Joe, because we literally need it to pay all the bills.
I think we should start OnlyFans.
The less gifteds and the less super chats, the less AoS stuff we can buy for the 4th edition. Facts.
Yeah.
Just facts. We already have OnlyThans anyway.
I'll go into Southampton Games Workshop and stand next to the models and look sad until someone buys it for me.
I don't think that's how it works.
No?
No, I'm afraid.
What if I got my boobs out?
And it definitely won't work.
Yeah.
Anyway-
What if I said, I will stand here naked until someone buys me stuff? So it's like the opposite.
Right, so anyway, you people are amazing. 7:30 tonight, we have a live game of 40k. Come and join us this evening. Come and hang out with us. It'll be fun. Brand new Orcs Codex, Bully Boys. Next Thursday, or this Thursday, sorry, brand new Custodies Codex. Probably going to run Shield Host. So come and hang out with us for those 2 streams at least. Tomorrow night, 7:30, we go live with the Warhammer show. We'll talk about something. And on Thursday at 13:30, we have another Liam and Joe show. We're going to talk about the future of 40k TV shows based on what's happened with Fallout on Amazon. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining us. You wonderful and beautiful human beings. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye, have a wonderful time.